Okay, so in the last video what we did was we actually set up our reference image. So we've got a nice reference image now in here, some really nice side-on shots there as well. So there's not much perspective going on, so we'll be able to get a really accurate model. So what we're going to do in this video, we're actually just going to model the pawn, and as I said in the last one, the aims of this is really to get you used to 3D space, used to using the different tools, so the verts, edge extrusion, a lot of using the edges and chamfering the object down to get that smooth look as well. So you can do it different ways. There are other ways to do it. Again, I'd encourage you to explore that. So you could technically model this using a spline with the lathe modifier as well applied to it, which gives you some good results, and I might do a video on that later on, but for now we're going to keep it super basic. We want to practice those key skills, we want to practice moving that mesh about. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm actually going to come into my front view. All right, so just keep in mind, if you want a quick shortcut there, you know, you can just click F here and it'll snap to the front view. Now at the moment the wireframe's only showing in this view, so what you can do is, if you go where my mouse is in the left hand side here, we can click this and we can put default shading on there, and that'll sort that out. I'm just going to click G to turn off the grid for now, because it's not really needed. I don't want it on there, and I'm going to zoom into this pawn. Now I'm going to start, there are many ways to do it as I said before, but I'm going to start with a sphere. So on the right hand side in the create tab, I'm just going to select this and go to sphere, and I'm actually going to draw this sphere out here. Okay, let's go to the move. For some reason it seems to have my effect pivot on. I wonder if I've knocked a command or a button or something to get that on before. Anyway, what I want to do from here is I'm going to actually put the wireframe on. Okay, so if I click F4, that'll put the wireframe on, and F3 will toggle the actual what you call it, the actual faces off. All right, I had to think then, trying to concentrate and talk at the same time. Right, they do say blokes are no good at multitasking, so I don't know whether that's true with me anyway. What we're going to notice anyway, let's get back on this. What we're going to notice is basically the sphere that we drew in is actually the wrong way. All right, and I'll show you why now. So if I go into the top view, I actually say draw another sphere. So we put another sphere in here. All right, make it like that. Not too bothered about the size. I just want to show you for reference purposes. So this is actually the correct way for the sphere to look. All right, this one's on its side, and you can tell that by the triangles there. All right, those triangles need to be at the bottom and top. Now it's a quick fix if you've done it in the front view. It's not hard at all. All we need to do is use the rotate tool. So again, I've just clicked E there. And what you want to do down here, so again where my mouse is we just want to, where it says 90 in the x-axis, so this is the rotational x-axis, so you can see that moving there. What we want to do is just zero that out. All right, and I'm going to delete that one, and that'll fix that little problem for us. Now I'm just going to hit Alt X, which will turn this semi see-through. I'm going to align this up the best I can. Now just keep in mind, you know, not you know, this picture is slightly pixelated. You know, it's not going to be perfectly side on, so we just want to get a rough estimate of how large that is. So that's all right. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to convert this to an editable poly. It's good to know that I've kept 32 segments on this as well, which will give us a nice, you know, smooth sphere. So I'm going to click convert to editable poly. So I've just right clicked on that and clicked convert to editable poly. I'm going to go to my polygon tool. So you can see in the modifier tab now I have a bunch of different options. I'm just going to pull that out slightly so we can see some of these in here. And I'm just going to select that polygon tool, and what I'm going to do is select the two bottom pieces here, and I am actually I'm going to select the single one here, so right at the bottom here, and I'm going to delete that. Next thing I'm going to do is select my edge mode. Now there are shortcuts for these as well, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, yeah, and that'll switch, that should switch between the different modeling tools that you've got here, so the different selection tools, should I say. I'm just going to use the edge tool. I'm going to double click there, which will select the entire ring. No, loop. Is it loop? Loop or ring? Hold on, wait. I always get mixed up with these for some reason. So that's your ring. Yeah, so it'll be a loop. So if I select that one, I can loop it around there. Okay. So if I just have a look here in the perspective view, give you a bit of a better idea what I'm actually waffling on about. I can select full edge here, yeah, so we can just go around. So your ring is the kind of the inside really between the two here. So your rings are typically these here, okay. Your loops are these ones here, okay. So if that makes sense, maybe I need to explain that a little bit. I might have to look at a little video, maybe doing a little video on that. On topology, if you're unfamiliar with it, because that's what it comes into. But for now, that's fine as long as you know how to select a ring and loop. That'd be cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold shift, and I'm just going to extrude it out. So holding shift and left clicking, I can extrude this out. You can see I can start to build this model up. Now, looking from the side here, what I need to do is I need to again hold shift. I'm using the scale tool. I'm just going to bring this out so I can roughly align it up and get this rough shape in. So that's good about there. And just holding shift, bringing that down. All right, now in the perspective view, I mean, we can just flick and alternate between the views. You can kind of see there what I've created already. Okay, so again, I'm just going to go back into the front view, and what I need to do now is kind of, it's going to be kind of a bit of a guess just to try and get this lined up here. There's not really much reference apart from this this kind of edge here that we're looking at. So maybe if I went into the top view, so I could select that in the top view, and what I could do is just zoom in. I know it's around about here, yeah. So if I go back into the front view, select this, so I know it was about here. I'm going to hold shift. I'm going to bring this into about here. I'm going to hit the front view and I'll show you what it does. There we go. It's aligned it up. It's basically aligned it up. What I was trying to do is get a point of reference for that to line up. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you obviously want it lined up, you know, nice amount. So I'm just going to hold shift again and put an extra piece in here, you know, and keep this in here because the actual piece goes larger. It gets down. All right. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do to, I mean, at the moment we're keeping it relatively low, but we are going to smooth some of this out as we go along. So the next thing, again, just holding shift, and we can just do this. And what I can do is bring that down. And then we've got this kind of, it's kind of like a big curved drop off there. Yeah, so it kind of goes down, goes into this straight away, really. So what I'll do is I'll extrude that to about maybe here. We'll see if this is right. I mean, if it doesn't kind of work out, there we go. Get them down there. And then again, you've got the kind of curved edge. So let's just get to about here and bring that down to back there. Kind of get that middle point so we can make it a little bit more round again using scale. It's important as well that you know when I'm using the scale, I'm always on this center point here, okay, because that will uniformly scale it. And we can just bulk that out a little bit. And then what we've got is we've got this bottom piece that kind of wraps around. So I'm going to do another bit here. That's going to be kind of this bottom bit. And I'm going to extrude that. And then we're going to do another extrusion here. And then what it looks like, oops, is this actually drops down from there. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I think it looks like. I'm just using the shortcut, so you keep seeing me actually go to move these. I'm so used to using these when I'm giving demos, especially for new students and things like that. But I am actually using shortcuts. So So I'll try and mention them when I'm using them. So the next thing, we've got this kind of edge that's kind of here. So I'm just gonna kind of put this like that, scale a little bit out, and then we can use the move tool again to bring that out about there. Maybe I can take some of these out if I put too many in. And again, let's just use that scale tool, move tool there. I'm just using extrude as well. There's nothing else that I'm doing, and I think that looks okay. So let's just have a look at what we've created so far. I mean, that looks okay. Let's go into perspective view, and we can take a look. So the difference between ours and this is that this is way more smoother. Our model has too many hard edges. If you look at that, okay, so the first thing that we can do to sort this out is we can make a selection of this model. So I've just gone into element mode. That'll select the full model for us. You can also go into the polygon mode, and you should be able to double click. Okay, I think that might be Maya. You can double click in. So let's just make an entire selection, and what you've got in both the element mode and the polygon mode is a polygon smoothing groups. Now we can automatically smooth this based on angles of 45, and it does work really well. So we can actually click that, and we'll see a bit more of a smoothed out version of your model, so it'll get rid of a lot of those bumps. But we're still seeing a lot of these hard edges, which these models don't have. So I'm going to take you through how to go through and sort these bits and pieces out. So the first, we'll start from the top. Again, we're going to go back into edge mode. Just going to select this here, and what we're going to do, we're going to just use the chamfer, and we're going to scale that down ever so slightly, bring it up here, and put a 1 in. You can see where we're getting a nice, a more like a smoother edge. Okay, so it's not just sharp, so that's all right. So I'm just gonna select this one again, chamfer. You might have to change some of these, you know, they're not all going to be the same size. I mean, I'm just estimating this. Oh, I don't actually know whether to put another piece in there, really. That'd be better for it. Looks okay. And again, underneath, so let's just chamfer that. And then we've got this middle section, so again, chamfer that. We're going to have to turn this up quite a bit, possibly put a few more pieces in just to make sure, you know, it is smooth. That'll do. So the bottom piece here, again, just look at, I'm just keeping my eye on this reference part. So it does actually it is actually smoothed onto this. So again, we can do chamfer. Let's just turn that down, turn the pieces down, because we don't want that many. I think possibly needs to come in a little bit more. Again, we can chamfer this edge as well, because that's quite smooth. If you wanted to, you know, you could throw a few more in, chamfer that down, make it a little bit more visual. So just going through these edges now. I want that. That needs to be smooth, doesn't it? Again, I'm just looking at this here, so it needs to be smooth. So the next piece is this bit, yeah. So again, choose that chamfer. Kind of get this right. Sure, I didn't. Kind of lagged out there. I didn't know whether I clicked it or not. This one. Just got to be careful here. Maybe take one of them out. We're getting that kind of edge there. And we've got underneath. Now that needs to be scaled correctly. Probably about there. So if you do find you put too many in, you know, we can go back and we can take some out. It's not a major issue. Let's just go here for this one. chamfer that. So almost done now. Go through. Chamfer this. I think that is okay. So I'd say this part here looks like it's got a lot of polys in it. All right. Again, I'm just going to select the hold object. We'll auto smooth that, and we'll just take a look at what it looks like. Really, I mean, it's not bad. It's you know, the models. It's looking better, much better than it was. I think there's one more thing we need to do, and that is to put this bottom piece on. So to do that, we're just going to have a cylinder, I think, at the bottom there. That should sort that out. So I'm just going to go into my top view really quickly, and I'm going to go to the create tab, put a cylinder. So now's a test minute. So here you can see I've just clicked the radius, and the longer to keep this on, I mean, you should be able to see that the height there changing. So it doesn't matter, but you basically drag this up and it'll change the height on it. I'm just going to click this to there because we don't really need that much height anyway. I'm going to go back into my front view, and if you remember correctly, our segments for the sphere was 32, so I'm just going to do this as well at 32. So we can just get that up to 32 there. We don't need many height segments. I think that'll do. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to convert that to a editable poly. I'm going to actually get rid of the top polygon. In actual fact, let's just go back a minute because I want these segments capped on top. So I'm just going to put a cap segment as well in there, just so the center is triangulated as well. So let's convert that now. So right click, convert that to an editable poly. Grab this, we will delete that one. And I think, yeah, that'll do. I think just delete that top one. And what we'll do, we can select this edge. So to make that selection now, just held shift. Remember, you know, you can grow the selection. Oh no, grow won't work. I think it does have to be shift actually. Yeah, so you can shift. And then we can just scale this slightly. And again, from the middle, you want to scale that from the middle. We can then just chamfer this edge. It's not, you know, standing out too much. So 0.4, I reckon, there. And then I'm just going to actually squash this down when I scale it. So I'm just going to come out of edge mode. I'm just going to push it down like that. You might need to scale chamfer these as well, just so make sure there's no get rid of that one because it's nearly overlapping that one, just to make sure really there's no like hard edge on it. So again, I'm just going to auto smooth this, and we're almost done. So I can just get this up in here. Just see, so it does need scaling a little bit, but we can do that in a second when I align it. So let's just go into perspective view really quickly. We're going to keep hold of that. We're just going to go to the align tool at the top here. I'm just going to select both objects. We're just going to center them. Click apply, click OK. Let's put our wireframe back on. Scale this down. Well, move it down, should I say. Oh, the actual scale is not too bad. It's not that far off. So let's just use this tool to scale it to about here. I think that should be okay. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to attach both of these objects together. Okay. And this is where your element tool would come in handy, because both of these objects are now attached. Your element tool will let you select between both the elements. All right. So what make up the object? Okay. So it's the different objects that make up a singular object, if that makes sense. So that looks okay. So let's just go to the front view and just make sure. I think that's okay. That fits fine there. I think. All right, cool. So I think we're done with this model. We can take another look in perspective. As you can see, you know, it could be improved. Aspects of it that could be improved. There's a little bit of marks there, but you should have a pawn if you've been following along, or you've watched it first and then want to give it a go yourself. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I think in the next video we will give the rook or castle a go. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it, and that's me out. I'll see you in the next video.